last win against Fnatic, who are still sitting at match point. However, the momentum has kind of changed pace here as Vitality managed to pick up Game 3. You guys said they need early game pressure coming out of the jungle. They need that Sivir pick. And we saw both of those things. How else do you think Vitality adapted correctly in that last pick and ban, Perks?
Well, for the first two games, they ran a combo they were not really good at, and the champs they're not the best at. So for the Game 3, they're like kind of desperate. It's like if you lose 2 games, you want to change everything completely. And then at the Game 3, they went completely like Vitality comp. Like they were only one who played GP mid because Nuke is a really good GP, and it fits his style.
Third, obviously.
Yeah. So and then they went for Sivir, which is like Yan and one trick champ, and I mean they're really good at pushing turrets and stuff. So. And then they opted for like a really strong top laner tank, Maokai, which is so broken, even though Kabachara is not really fond of playing tanks. And of course the Elise for Shook, which is like early game jungler, really strong. I didn't expect Morgana from Kasing, but it was a good pick, so I liked it.
I want to actually jump in on that because the Morgana from Kasing, the Thresh the 2 games before, how come he is kind of limited to playing these picks? We had Mithy on the desk who said Thresh is a jack of all trades but a master of none. That Morgana is not really one of the top tier picks right now for most of the support. So what do you make of that, Jankos?
I mean, if you're as bad as Thresh as Mithy is, then...
I think it just because Mithy said that it's, you know, well, it matches him, you know. But when Kasing plays Thresh, oh, baby. But yeah, overall, I just think... Kasing overall likes range champs. He likes to dominate the lane, and Morgana like is good against Alistar. Also good in laning phase. Was good against enemy team. So I like the Morgana pick for him. Also, we saw the 2v2 bot lane in favor of Cabochard and Shook, which was obvious since the start of the game, just because of the picks even, not because of the players. And then I feel like touching a bit on the Cly because I feel like I praised him a bit too fast.
You cursed him.
I mean, just because they were playing as a team for the first 2 games, then he didn't have to do that much of decision making on his own. And right now he has to do it, and it doesn't look that good anymore, but let's see what happens next.
Yeah, it's really interesting that you touch on Clay there because we were talking a lot about how having to make his own decisions, it doesn't seem so great in this, whereas Kasing doesn't play Alistar, hasn't played it all split. But the champions he does pick, he's able to adapt to what the team needs at that point with his decision making. And that seems to be like the biggest difference between these two supports is, you know, Clay is good when people are telling him to go, seemingly, with the Sivir. But when you put him on something else, it just looks kind of rough and he's just caught out a lot.
I think that's a problem of Fnatic as a whole, though, because, you know, the whole split we've been talking about their decision making and macro level. And I feel like it's more a team problem than Clay problem, who, let's face it, is relatively new to the pro scene.
Yeah, what do you think about this, rookie?
Yeah, I actually agree. I think Fnatic like whole split have been kind of like lackluster. Because one game they can like show up really good, and then the next game they can be like really bad, like versus Splice and Elements, for example. So, yeah.
Well, now we're going to have to find out. Were they just watching a team like Rox Tigers? Were they watching and looking for one particular playstyle and just going, well, let's try and imitate that and it'll work for us because it's worked in scrims? Or have they done more prep? Have they prepared more than just the Sivir, the Lissandra, that kind of setup? And are they able to play different styles? Game 3 tells us no. Vitality played that style against them very well, but maybe that was just having that style available to one team is just so strong right now.
Interesting, and that is also a Fnatic with their Nautilus Jhin comp when it first burst onto the scene since IEM. Vitality was actually the first team to take Fnatic down when they played that comp. So I don't think it's... I mean, Fnatic was at a spot that they could go 3-0, so I understand that they made those choices, but I don't know what they've got in their playbook. Do you think that the champion pools are diverse enough, or is this the cue for Vitality now on red side, however, to take over the series, Jankos?
I mean, I overall think blue side is a little bit more broken, so even if this is the cure, then it's still not enough, because they will have to play purple right now, and it will be much tougher for them. So what I think Fnatic will do, they will try to draft similar comp to what they did last game. I mean, not last game, but second game, for example, yeah. And also, I think the second rotation Azir plus Jhin is not as good because we saw it losing twice already. And I thought, you know, maybe the coaches would learn from each other, but apparently they did not.
What's up with Azir, by the way? 3 losses in 3 games.
Yeah, I don't know what's up. I think teams actually play not that good around the Azir because for Azir you just have to get 2 items. like with 2 items you're already strong. And then
Any
with,
items?
and then with 3 items you're like a really broken champ. And then, but teams seem to like lose the game completely before Azir even gets items because they fight like on the other side of the map with double TP or versus global like GP ult and stuff like that. And then they just get behind and Azir is farming, chilling mid, and
It must be
losing
difficult.
the game. You know.
Must be difficult for you to play League. You say so many things are broken. Like, how do you ever get through a game, Perks?
Yeah, it's a bit tough sometimes.
Yeah.
Playing versus champs like Maokai and Poppy.
Using that moment, I want to say that Proli is a genius, and I love this
Oh
guy.
my gosh, here we go
But
again.
I'm not sure. I mean, I can't say why, but he's really smart. And yeah.
Your tweets have said enough over the last couple of days. On the topic of coaches, though, we saw here during the game that the coaches now have the ability to listen in to the comms of their own team. This is something that we've added for the entirety of playoffs that probably will be able to do as well. How much do you think that will improve the teams, and maybe in your cases specifically, if they can listen to your comms?
Okay, so I don't think that will help too much, but it will.
Trick, help me meet. Trick, please come.
I have no comment.
Jankos?
Well, I think it will help us a lot. I think Proli is a genius, so he will figure something out. A strat that will actually help us, and we will dominate the playoffs just because of him.
In that
No,
case,
they
it'll
will
be,
actually get raped still by us. So.
in that case, it'll be Ziggs. If it's Proli, he's probably got that as a playbook. It'll beat everything mid lane, but looks like we're good to go.
Yeah, the players are ready, so we're going to go ahead and load up for the picks and bans. We're going to head inside the arena for Game 4.
Whoa, that desk is getting hot, guys. Okay, thanks very much. You know what else is hot, by the way? Shurima. And it's been an 0-3 Azir and a 2-0 Sivir.
Yep.
No one's shuffling anymore. The hunt's on.
Yeah, it's kind of out. It's no longer hot. Instead, jungle picks are, because Gragas has also lost every single game. And we have now joined
That's
the
not the
Gragas.
definition of hot, though, overall.
Yeah, that's actually cold.
I think
It's not
jungle.
cool anymore. Like, shuffling is not cool anymore. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
I tried to actually learn it when I was like 14, but it didn't work. Anyhow,
It's really hard, because you do
it is
stab,
very
like tick, tick,
you
tick,
do the
then,
whatever
then
it
it
is.
gets really
Yeah.
tough.
Irrelevant
Fan
skills,
base,
guys.
Vitality is on red side, and a problem here is that Kindred has been a big pick, but they've been banning Nidalee Graves every game. And if they want to do the same and ban Kindred as well, then Poppy becomes the first pick.
Yeah.
So with Fnatic banning Trundle one more time,
It's early pressure on the Poppy.
they are putting pressure on Poppy. They're telling Vitality you have to ban it. So I think maybe Vitality is saying, let's leave both Kindred and Graves open. Because if you first pick the Kindred, we take the Graves and you trade them. But it requires that Shook is actually practiced on both the picks.
I think he can play both.
I would assume he can. It is his style. But I also think Vitality might just ban 3 junglers straight up. But then again, then you give the Poppy.
Can't be worse than his Gragas, or the impact of his Gragas. I don't think necessarily he played it that poorly. The Varus ban now comes out for Fnatic. That's normal. It's just the Azir counter on blue side. We see Nidalee, which is the staple purple side. I think the last ban from Vitality should still be the Poppy, though. That's one thing. You can't let it through. Regardless of
I
what
agree.
happens, Poppy doesn't hit the table at all.
So this is what's happening now. This is what you just mentioned. By potentially leaving Graves open, you leave Graves and Kindred.
Yeah.
It means, no, they're not going to leave Poppy open with it, because then they first pick Poppy
They
and
want,
start a
they want
Fnatic.
Nautilus on the next
Yeah, yeah.
rotation. So they want to force Fnatic to not choose Nautilus, and then
Man, that was spot on. I'm actually surprised.
yeah, and then they go for like Kindred later on. They get the Nautilus right here. Nautilus Sivir could be a really good early rotation here for Vitality. And suddenly Fnatic have to dip into the tank pool and find something else.
Yeah, definitely 100% Sivir pick coming. But this is, again, Graves is such a strong pick for Spirit, spamming it in solo queue over and over and over. And with them leaving both the junglers, they basically said, okay, if you first pick the Kindred, we take the Graves and we're happy. We need to see if Shook wants to play Kindred. We would assume he wants to play it. Alistar takeaway. Kasing is normally not an Alistar player.
Yeah, so that means Vitality want Gamsu on the Nautilus, because he's almost guaranteed to play this champion. So they want to play like the Echo into it or something, have the answer ready, and play a kind of a blitzkrieg kind of Zerg composition with the Sivir.
Or could we see a Rise
Vice
coming
top.
in?
Lissandra top is technically...
Lissandra top is something that's kind of died out, and I definitely don't expect Capucha to play it, but Rise top,
to Nautilus?
Rise top has just come in as a good pick against these tanks, obviously.
We're wondering about Ryze potentially coming in today.
I wonder if it is an option. It might just be an Echo pick coming in top again for Capucha.
There's always Rammus available too.
True.
Because right now you have the 80 jungler, you have the 80 bot, the Jhin, and then if we don't see the Azir come out, Rammus could be a good pick.
They locked it. Jhin once again. Reckless is doubling down.
Yeah, again, you kind of have to. When Sivir gets taken, then Jhin in this matchup has become the tier 2 pick, and then Kalista is further down. Haven't seen her all day.
Kalista used to be very strong against Sivir lanes, but she's been nerfed enough that the advantage she gets in lane isn't worth it anymore, because when she exits the laning phase, without a support and without near her, she's forced to rush the Hurricane, and she's still mediocre wave clear. It just doesn't work well enough. Also, Fnatic, I think, works better with Jhin.
On the side of Vitality, still puzzling over what they go next. With that Forest ban, though,
Ooh, it's going to be Jace top?
the Jace
Is it
could be.
It's definitely an option. Again, against these tanks here, it's very hard for them to kill the Jace, to give a bit of a free farm lane. Probably will still be pushed in slightly early on by the Nautilus, but I want to see what we get top lane here. I feel like you can pick the top lane matchup, even though Nautilus technically can be flexed to support now that Alistar's being picked away. Gragas top lane is an option as well, something we have seen both in LPL and LCK. He actually has a very strong laning phase against a lot of the tanks, so
And they take it.
Oh, wow.
that is going to be it. And Cupshot is also a very old-school Gragas top player.
Innovating Locket style.
Hey, I mean, he tried it out a few times in the LCS. Decent success, but this is a pick which, again, LPL and LCK has used as a top lane, and it used Gragas as a flex.
Yeah.
You still get a lot of the good benefits from him, a strong frontline tank, able to body slam engage on the likes of Jhin.
I wonder if Fnatic was planning the blind Xerath here that they hovered earlier as just a potential poke comp, you know. Graves, Jhin, Xerath could have really good siege.
I think you can just go Lissandra here, honestly, and just play the 1-3-1 again with double TP.
Nice predict, man.
I mean, it was...
That was pretty obvious.
Yeah, that was good, though.
That was kind of...
I kind of forgot she existed. I don't know why I had to start talking about Xerath when I absolutely adore Lissandra as a...
You just let it go. That was it, man.
Yep. Just let it go. God damn it.
Right back to it.
Tell
All
me
right,
the other
so
hand.
they round out with the Thresh as well, though.
I don't
so
like the Thresh at all.
Yeah, tell me why.
I mean, like, who are you going to hook here? Like, the tank, the Elise with the Repel, the Sivir Spell Shield. I think Cly is going to suffer the exact same fate Kasink had in the first 2 games. You're going to walk up, hit or miss hook, and just get blown up immediately.
Definitely seems like Fnatic are going back to strong lanes and like play really aggressive early on in the 2v2 lane, but lane swapping is very likely coming in from Vitality. In that case, also, again, the Nautilus has very strong early game. GP from Nuke Duck. A lot of debate on Twitter after last game when was GP a good pick into Azir? Technically not. And
he made it work.
But he made it work. Obviously, did lose mid tower, but he went very early to side lane. And I think this is more for Vitality saying we want to have double TP again.
Yeah, and this is the first game in the series where we have double TP facing off against double TP. The one difference here is there's an extra global on the side of Vitality. So this should be a very fascinating game to see, with the early edge definitely going to Fnatic, I feel. But I'm not even that sure about it. They just have, both teams have a pretty disgusting mid-game spike here. A lot of points in the game where the mid-game base damages are still relevant, and so much CC.
I definitely give the early game to Fnatic if it's standard lanes. Early push
definitely.
Nautilus, 2v2 obviously with the Jhin Thresh. There is a chance, a high chance, we probably see Vitality try and opt into a lane swap, but you can match it if you are Fnatic or try to. Very, very interested to see this Gragas top lane for Copper Shot, because it is a fairly strong pick into tanks in the 1v1, but also just the ability to engage fights with Body Slam Flash and just stacking like full tank on this Gragas is a very, very strong
Sivir makes
line.
it easier though.
She does makes it easy. It's also about Nuke Dog on this Gangplank, because he had a fantastic impact in the last one.
Very, very, very comfortable Vitality have been. And now with one game in the books, will they even the score here? If you think so, hashtag VIT win at LOL Esports. If you think Fnatic are going to close this one out, hashtag FNC win. Will this be the final game? We'll have to find out as we load up on a Summoner's Rift.
All right.
Here we are.
And here we are. No Azir, boys, after losing
He
3
can't
games.
lose.
Girls.
And again, true. I still don't even think it's just Azir itself. It's just how much focus the teams put on it with the bans.
It's gone. Let it go.
And these picks
Bishop.
around, you know, now they're
Just
getting
let it go.
no longer getting Azir. You no longer have to worry about picking around
We're
it.
not holding back anymore.
So
Neither is Vitality.
Vitality actually, they're not going for the 50-50 lane swap where they just guess at the start. They're actually going for the good old school play where you invade, put division, and you kind of make it impossible for Fnatic to match. So there's a good chance that we have at least Vitality come out here with the edge in the top lane.
Yeah, and because Fnatic didn't sit on the tower on top side with their AD carry support, it's going to be very hard for them not to be spotted. One thing you can do...
Are they on a ward?
One thing you can do is actually walk by the ward here on bottom side as their dual lane of Fnatic. And once you get to...
No,
this
Fnatic can run bot.
blue buff. Yeah, but like what they could have done, like walk up, be spotted by the first ward, and then actually just turn in the jungle and walk straight to mid lane and down towards bottom lane. Won't be needed because they are staying on bot side.
Vitality based on ward, which generally means that Fnatic thinks that Vitality bot lane is going to go bot, but Vitality are taking double insurance here by sending their bot lane mid. Okay, nobody shows on these wards. Okay, we go top. So they take a slower approach to guarantee the lane swap 100%. I like this actually.
Yeah, I think it's a very good move.
Smart.
Very, very good move. You might lose a few seconds on the push, but because
it's all worth it.
Yeah, exactly. No camp being done. Yanan would just run into lane, and Kasing is sitting mid again for an early gank. We've seen it 3 times or 2 times already.
Yeah, because he doesn't need his summoners at all. He can even flash here.
Yeah, oh, speaking of flashing, he does just that, and Febin's going to have to follow. Exhaust, but whoa!
It's still worth it because another Q, because he doesn't need the summoners at all in the next 4 or 5 minutes. It looks such a waste, but we're going to swap around.
I'm just going to check what the cooldown was on that Q for Nuke.
I mean, Nuke he's going to give Febin
I mean,
such a hard time now as long as he
guess
is.
whether Kasing knew the cooldown though.
That's true. That's true. Because right now, Nuke could actually just hit one more Q and walk away, but Exhaust slowed it down. Fair enough.
Well, he does hit one more Q and walk away.
Maybe it is again sending a message. I don't need this summoner.
It's like, you see this Exhaust? I throw it at you. I don't need it.
All right, Vitality. Fnatic settle into the good old 3v0 swapperoo. And we'll see some fast pushing on the towers and non-aggression. Vitality pretty happy with the way things are turning out so far.
Yeah, and Fnatic actually pushed on second wave without their top laner. So they had a hard time keeping these creeps there because Yamsu had to path all the way over. And Vitality at least had their top laner there earlier, so they were very prepared for this lane swap.
Yeah, and you can sometimes call in your jungler here to match up, but it doesn't really happen often on the first tier 1 because...
Second one it usually does.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He's busy doing his camp. He wants the Rift Scuttle. He doesn't really want to give up too much. Fnatic will take down tower. Almost the same timing as Vitality on top side, so no massive advantage just yet from either team. Gamsu will get it down with one more hit.
Things are all about even.
A bit later, recall, obviously, again from Fnatic, but we are talking just 1 to 2 seconds at max.
And a slightly worse ward. I mean, we're literally nitpicking here, but that's what lane swaps have evolved into. The ward in the lane that's going to spot Yarnan isn't as deep as Fnatic would like. So they have a later reaction from Gamsu, so that it essentially costs him like 3 CS.
And the very standard call buy as an AD carry.
Look, he shows up.
Double Dorans doesn't really exist anymore as AD carries, so you just go for the call instead. It is much better with the extra farm.
But look at the way this mid lane has evolved. Normally, Febiman would just AFK shove, but with the additional sustain advantage from Corruption Potion and the early force in level 1 with the summoners, he's now winning this lane that he's supposed to massively lose in terms of push.
And also their OP-ness of Grasp with the Undying, adding in a bit of extra damage and sustain for Nuke.
Yep.
Obviously doing well with the poly every single time.
But he's going to do that anyways, right? That's the whole reason that
I just wanted to add in how strong it is.
It is very strong. Febiman forced to teleport early, and it just gets him seamlessly through the early laning phase here with teleport advantage and 10 CS up. This is, honestly, that level 1 gank from Kasing, I really like the adaptation.
Nuke really sped up ahead because of this, and it's just such a comfortable choice for him. Vitality have been allowed to take these picks because the power picks took precedence for Fnatic, banning out that Corki yet again, you know, things like that. It's allowed Vitality to get these things that are comfortable.
And right now, Fnatic are on the top side. Usually they push this down, take Herald. We have to remember, there will be, once they hit, if they mirror the play on the tier 2 push, that's exactly when Nuke is going to hit level 6.
Now this is going to be a bit delayed by Vitality, so what happened is basically Cabochek got a bit of extra farm on top side because again they were slightly ahead on the first base and he stayed around, had to cancel recall and then back out, so he's slightly delayed. Normally you would have your jungler then actually come down instantly, knowing that top lane is going to be a bit late, jungler joins in and takes or wastes some time, I guess, technically for the jungler himself to hitting tower, but Shu could also recall at the same time. So they got slightly later to tower, but again, it should be very even in the timing because they need these minions to die around them, so there shouldn't be any big advantage just yet. What Fnatic likes to do with Rift Herald is a little bit different compared to other teams. They like to take it with the AD carry and then give it over to AD carry. And the reason they give it to AD carry is because he then gets a faster recall time.
And a quicker push.
Quicker push because he will buff the minions and of course the extra movement speed getting to the wave. So he will recall slightly later. You can see Rex here taking recall. Look at Sivir on your minimap already at the inhib tower. So she's ahead right now, but because you get the Rift Herald, you're now faster with movement speed, and once you get to the wave, you will buff it up and it will actually push in faster. So this speeds up the play, how fast you take the Rift Herald and how fast you can push in, compared to if you gave it to your jungler and he went into his jungle and yada yada yada, and then he went bot lane.
And that faster farm should help to speed up Reckless's growth in this one. Big problem that Fnatic had last game was unable to unlock the Jhin. And Vitality were pretty keen on shutting it down, knowing what Reckless can do on it.
I mean, this is the point of the game, though, where he's now level 6. He has access to Cannon Barrage. So let's see if these teams have factored that in. How big Fnatic's going to stack a wave, because that may actually tilt this mid-game of the lane swap, like 7 minutes in the game. Yeah.
It is a situation where Vitality is saying, guys, let's just give this farm over to Cabrera because Fnatic opted into pushing. After they didn't bounce the wave. So Cabrera is going to catch this one. This is going to hurt for Gamsu.
He has nowhere to farm. This is something top laners have gotten in the habit of because they're so used to the lane swap playing out. Swap, 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 swap around. Cabrera getting this farm is massive.
I just want to highlight this ward being placed by Vitality on bottom side, though. You can see here behind Reckless, there are 2 wards now. That's a TP location for Cabrera. If Jhin keeps pushing,
the ward is about to fade.
It's about to fade. What about the one in the bottom bush?
Oh.
Still there.
It's also about to fade.
It could have happened. The setup was there. You know, you actually opt in to take 2v2 on bottom side, and you are behind an experience.
Dreams are about to shatter. 1, 2, 3, and that ward's gonna be. Oh.
Yeah, it's also with Fnatic pushing on mid tower. That means Vitality had to go mid and defend instead of make that play on bottom side. But you could actually have opted into ganking their TP.
Oh,
getting caught.
He gets caught, and in comes Spirit instantly, and now Gamsu around the side. There are hooks for days, but Shook does manage to get one juke off. Still, with Fnatic members just chasing like crazy, Spirit can't help but pick this one up. He just needs to reload his shotgun, work the flash, and that's first blood.
The hell is Shook doing right there? I mean, look at the minimap. You have to wonder. Your top laner is doing a free/slow push in the top lane. You get a massive wave hitting your bot lane tower that you want to annihilate with GPLT. Why is your jungler in the one area where Fnatic will have 4 people in the map? This is a massive positional mistake from Shook and a really good pickoff from Prime.
It looked really good for Vitality before, with this insane advantage for Gragas on top. The potential play on bottom that never happened, and I just sadly have to take back everything I said.
Pass, man.
I would have loved that play. Anyway, it was better to just get all the farm for Cabrera because he's obviously getting this far ahead. But yeah, Shook
right here
doesn't really have any business to do.
You're never supposed to walk forward here.
High, and he's still
flash to the right. Anything like these are like 3 mistakes. 1, he's there. 2, he walks up after the camp. 3, he flashes towards the enemies that are there. He's just playing as if it's a stand.
Flash the hook, unlike
flash
walk
the hook
away,
or flash to the right afterwards.
Sure.
Still, major mistake here.
Big
and now there's no contest on Gamsu because there's no map pressure, and he can catch a lot of this farm, still be very far behind, but could have been put in a dumpster right there.
Yeah, Shook is unable now to really play aggressive without flash, obviously, and being pushed back. Yanan gets to shove out the lane, and I want to see him. Oh, he has no ward. I want to see Kasingdem place a fairly deep ward here in this lane. Maybe set up that play later because you know that Jhin is going to.
How's he going to do that though?
Yes, he had his string. He just put the ward right there in the bush. It's only going to last for a very short time though, but you know that Jhin is going to push back out. So if you are ready for it, if you time the waves, you actually know he's going to overextend, and then you TP on him and kill him. But
let's take a look at the gold though.
He's taking his time though. Yeah, let's take a look at
everything is settled down a little bit, so we get a chance to break this one down. So Spirit has a big advantage over Shook because he picked up that kill, and he also had a pretty serious farm advantage, being able to roam around with Fnatic. But the rest of the team is actually not doing quite so hot, mostly because for Cabrera, he was able to catch that big one on the top side. You could see Reckless has been kind of running left, right, and center to try to pick things up, and Nuke Duck had been punishing Febivin since the level 2.
And the worst part for Fnatic was that when they pushed in that wave, it kind of felt like they said, we actually want to push this one in and try and get standard lanes because there's a Gangplank ulti. We don't want to take the mirror and then have GP ulting in. But even then, I think you can actually let him clear one wave and wait for next wave if you are very fired up to play with Rift Herald. In order to do that, you had to bounce the wave though, because then Vitality had to send the AD carry support on top side, and you were able to mirror for tier 2. But instead, Cabrera gets all the farm.
But instead, we'll see how Fnatic react, and that's also something you have to do in this series. Sometimes you make mistakes, and you have to adapt on the fly, and Fnatic did that. They caught out Shook when he made a mistake, and so far they have been the smarter split-second decision-making team. See if they can keep that up, and take the match.
Hey, you said it yourself, Crepo. I mean, this is a team that shows up for matches, shows up for big games. They have so much more experience in doing it. And, I mean, all those games that
Let me explain.
everything.
The only reason,
All right, let's go back to
the
it.
only reason we brought that up, because it's been an argument that has been tilting the official the entire week in the office when our producers like, guys, Fnatic, they show up in playoffs, just like Bayern Munich.
Ah, you spoiled it.
The problem is he's saying the name Fnatic is showing up. I'm saying it's the players showing up.
Something happens when you put on that jersey to fit,
And if you
Joe.
took these 5 players and put them on another team, they would still show up because it's the players.
Yeah.
All
No,
the coaches
but
as
they've
well.
had
but like,
experience together now. I mean, since they came together, this roster, the change with Klai stepping in, and then all throughout IEM, those crazy, ridiculous matches they had, and then even though they stumbled into the playoffs, they've looked better in this series than we have seen from them since IEM.
Yep.
we've seen
Some horrible things.
some good, we've seen some good adaptations. We've also seen Shook getting caught. Or is he maybe catching Spirit?
Oh, the flay backwards now. Spirit's going to try to get the blowback, but he's got absolutely nowhere to go. Collapse. Scumbag steals it.
I love it. Look at how exhausted he was right there, stuck in the corner. Could have had an ignite, but Sing with the brains, taking that exhaust.
And he takes a kill.
I like it.
1-1.
Rewarded for his bold and smart summoner choice.
And the second time he uses it.
Whoa.
See,
it's
wasn't a waste.
It's kind of like how you get very high wards per minute. You just start, when you sit in the fountain anyway, you just sit and spam wards in fountain. And then you walk back out anyway.
Inflating your stats.
And then it looks great.
Oh, hold up.
Well usage.
Peppermint's canceled here, and now Cabochard's on the chase. I won't be able to catch him, though.
Ran out of air very quickly. Moving down.
All right, so we're about 13 minutes into this game. Vitality's still hanging with a slim lead. The gold really hasn't made too much of a difference with the 2-2 in towers and the 1 dragon in Fnatic's back pocket. But you guys said earlier, we were talking about this mid-game power spike that is been still coming.
But look,
Both teams.
how Featherman got punished a little bit early. He has a good overall run of ages. 13 minutes in, 1 stack right now. But look at Nukeduck already. He already has Triforce in a matchup that he should be dominating. He is up CS and probably has a lot of gold from his passive.
Yeah, worth noting that, you know, if you're parlaying a lot, you're able to get even more out of that. So Nukeduck is going to be a force to be reckoned with, or already is a force to be reckoned with.
Some Korean advice coming from Pyro. Just
Yeah.
parley a lot and
And
get a lot of gold. That's
Yeah.
true. That's
Hey, man,
true.
When in
Gangplank
doubt.
is my freelo champ, by the way.
Parlay.
Still good. And,
Lost, of
Nukeduck-
course, a bit of
Nukeduck
gold
making me
there,
proud.
but still, it is strong.
Oh, yeah.
You gave him some tips?
Yeah, I took him a bit. Hold on, Nukeduck, come here for a sec. Just parley a lot.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, I'm great at that kind of advice.
See if Nukeduck will stick to your advice later.
I think we
they
need a
should,
parlay cam right now.
Zoom in on every single one. So the Dragon's coming up in 18 seconds. Is this worth fighting for?
In most situations, no. You almost never see team fights around them early on. It all depends on who has to push at that time. If Lissandra is able to push in the Gangplank, it gives control to Fnatic to move in and take Dragon, and then it's too risky for Vitality to like try and kind of blind walk in towards the river and contest it. Fnatic has defensive pings around it, but it's behind the Dragon, so it doesn't really deny anything other than a TP ward, obviously, for Vitality. With no teleport on Cabochard, though, Vitality will probably give up the Dragon. So again, we don't want to risk these 4v5 team fights.
All right.
And it's just not worth it
And
enough.
there's so much more vision up in this top side because the Rift Herald has been prioritized by both these teams. Fnatic, you know, it's been kind of a fixation for them, but Vitality are the ones in the right position to take it. They've got Gangplank down on the bottom and 4 members here to gang up on it.
And there's still a lot of teams around the world who don't really understand what the Rift Hell does. And like
It's
how
got a
you can
big
use it
eyeball.
and when to take it. In this case here for Vitality, it's almost the perfect time to take it because you had pushed in top and mid. You have no TP in the top laner, so you actually want to play around him. You don't want to play around bottom side now because Cabochard can't join. This was just the perfect time to go in, grab the Rift Herald, obviously saying we're not looking to contest Dragon at the moment. Give it over to, I believe actually was Cabochard who took it. And then just give me a little bit more lane pressure for him. But he's not going to be able to kill the Nautilus. It's all about pushing now. Push, push, push.
Yeah, Fnatic looking to control or shift the control over to the right side of the map. Kai, path out of base right, pink ward, deep ward. And now the blue contest, still looking to at least shut down Nukeduck in his tracks or leave some deep vision behind him, so when he does push, they have those flank opportunities. Obviously, you always want to engage in one of the teleport guys.
and this is what we talked about, you know, we don't see fights around Dragon. Fnatic have control on bottom side because they have Lissandra and a teleport on top side available, so they will automatically win the bottom side. Therefore, they will also get the Dragon handed to them. I miss the old days of just picking mid-game team fight comps.
Love it.
And you would just rush into Dragon every time, and you just have these Rumble ultis flying around.
And the Dragon was worth 1,000 gold, so it would always be a 2,000 gold swing, because if the other team
yeah, it just
got
snowball out of control completely after one lost fight.
But here's how you got to get your gold swing now with the Rift Herald buff. They start on this tower, but look at this. They're instantly answering back, and Shook's caught in a line. Klai with the box down now. Spirit instantly exhausted. Gamsu is bopped and pinballed all the way back into the team. And Yarnan, no, it's Shook that takes him down, but a curtain call answering. Now Kasing going low, everyone body blocking. It's Shook that lines up for this one, but they're not done yet. Fevivin goes in, instantly caught on the cocoon. Now they turn their attention for Cabochard. Do they have enough in the tank to take him out? Spirit, however, is on the wrong side of this fight. All of a sudden, it's Kasing that gets blown up. And Fevy with the kill credit for that. It's a 1-for-1, but he's caught in between the rest of them. And Yarnan goes big. And now Vitality turns the fight again, melting through Reckless's health bar.
There's a lot to talk about this fight. The Visio, I saw you like make some very weird stares at the screen. What happened at the start?
Oh, I was just very happy to see the reaction from Kasing when Gamsu tried to flash out. He actually instant ends up pulverizing him, knocking back to his team and trying to force him out of the fight, and then the re-engages happen.
Yeah, just a lot of good plays here. I think Fnatic made the one crucial mistake of overreaching. Look at how much CC abilities they use onto Shook. So they have one hook, two hook, missed Jin Snare, and guess what? He has Repel, so he resets. And then you have the beautiful reaction here from Vitality. They used Cannon Barrage to separate the fight, and all these CCs are on cooldown. Look where Gangplank is right now, and the sidestep that Cabochard is going to do is going to completely turn this fight.
Yeah, and also just this cocoon from Shook stopping Fevivin at first, getting a bit of damage. Sidesteps, doesn't get snared. Now they can re-engage. Nukedog TP's in, and yes, there's one kill on Kasing, but that support going down has already kind of done his job. Nukedog surprises them with the flank, re-engaged further on onto Reckless as well. Body slams him just out of their lantern as well.
Yep, and Fnatic, I think they thought they were fighting a 5v5 and winning. And when the Gangplank ulti was down, they forgot that Nukebug hadn't even entered the fight. So Vitality turned around that fight, 4v5, got a kill, could have opted out. Let's not forget, they could have easily just ended that fight. But then that sidestep on the Jin W from Cabochard was just so smooth. Turned around the fight, bought enough time for Nuke to come in the flank and completely surprise.
It's not easy to sidestep skill shots with a hitbox like Gragas, that's for sure. Vitality to the victor, go the spoils, and they get themselves a tower and some kills. Spirit now sidestepping cocoons himself.
Also the difference of Shook on Elise versus Gragas.
Oh yes.
I mean, that cocoon was pixel perfect on Fevin's Ice Claw coming in there.
I just think it's even more about Shook not being the main engage, because we talked about this early in the series. Shook is extremely good at playing the early game, playing skirmish, but he's never been much of a team fighter. So when you put him on a Gragas and say, you're now our main engage because you want to time your body slam flash with our TP coming in from our top laner, that's how we start fights. They tend to struggle. The same we can say honestly for Fnatic from time to time with Spirit on Gragas. He's much better playing carry junglers.
But this is why we're seeing Vitality take the comfort levels. Fevivin looking for Cabochard, gets the Ring of Frost out, and it's just a 1v1. Or is it because Spirit has come right on in? Explosive cast, can Cabo get away from this one? He bops back forward and looks to try and take Fevivin down with him, but not yet. No, it's Fevy that takes him out.
I think the Cannon Minion just blocked the body slam here for Cabochard, so he wasn't able to just get a bit of extra damage in onto Fevivin. Meanwhile, there wasn't actually much to do on the map for Vitality. They couldn't really just rush down.
There was no Baron yet.
No Baron was alive. Also would have been a 20-minute Baron, would have been extremely early.
They could have baited. The whole premise of this play is that it only works right now for Fnatic, because you saw how much time it took to take down Cabochard, how tanky he was. If Fnatic do that again later on, Vitality will just sweep the vision around Baron and bait. They don't even have to start it. Fnatic will be forced to face check.
Yeah. But let's go back to before that all happened. I was talking about the relative comfort level. When you put Shook on a champion like Elise, that he can get his team a little bit ahead early. We know the Vitality, when they get a little bit of a lead, they can start rolling it forward. It's obviously been a fairly even game, but importantly, they've not let Fnatic get a foothold.
And we know when Vitality is playing 1-3-1 with double teleport, they are a much better team than when they try to execute these 3-1-1 comps, you know, again, the 80 carries in side lanes, and Azir just sitting and farming mid.
And this is something, they didn't get any tower or Baron, but what they traded for that play on Cabochard was vision. They put down 4 really solid pink wards. The inverse kind of has happened now, though, of the ward outside of the pit. There's a blue trinket on Baron. I don't know if they actually see it, but they need to
should see it, no?
They should be able to see it. They do. They need to get a green ward in so they can deny any blue trinkets in the back of the pit. But now they have complete control over the pink wards. They actually did a good job defending them, and they could actually push in Fnatic right now and rotate for a Baron bait.
Good indeed. The Dragon's going to be up, and that's a mighty
There's another one
enticing thing.
So that's another blue trinket wasted. If Vitality spot this in time, then they can just keep putting those blue trinkets on cooldown, and then Fnatic will struggle with the face check.
Fnatic will still have, again, a very strong team fight. It's both teams. We're in a meta where almost every single comp you draft will have a very strong team fight among these teams here. But it's so much, again, about who gets the proper flank. Because when everything is about teleports and big tanks TPing in behind you, there's such a big difference if he can TP in and actually dash straight to the enemy AD carry and force that AD carry to only hit him. Or if he has to like run head first towards him, you get chunked out, the AD carry can get to hit other targets. That's why this vision is so key around the Baron.
I think we're going to see the bait right now. Dragon's about to spawn, so Fnatic is leaning a bit towards it. The last blue trinket get used right now, and there's going to be face checks here, but is Vitality in a position to punish? They are, because teleport comes in mid lane.
There it comes, and they are just bailing out Spirit and Clyde now. Running away, but Cabo flashes forward, barrels up. Spirit, however, is going to be able to dash to freedom.
Tried to force the engage here from Cabo shot, not realizing that his team couldn't really follow, and the ulti for him missed, didn't manage to knock anyone back, actually completely missed on
I think he was trying
Spirit. He was trying to get Spirit for sure and knock him back as well.
Maybe predict a dash or a flash on Spirit, hoping he would go into the barrel there. He also did the classic E-flash, auto attack, ulti, instead of, you know...
Our favorite combo from Gragas players. You just gotta get that extra little bit of damage, and therefore people can now flash away from your...
If you want a good example of how horrible that combo is, watch EDG versus RNG, I think, from like this week or 2 weeks ago, where one E-flash at the end of the game with an auto attack actually throws the entire fight. Weaving in that auto, cost them the entire team fight. So kids, just do ER.
And that extended play cost Vitality in the end, one tower. Dragon now being pinged out, and Vitality aren't in a position to try and capitalize for the Baron, so this one should go over Fnatic's favor.
And that's the thing, like, Vitality has had control around Baron, and it is a correct play, full vision of it, and you set up that TP play. Problem is, when a TP happens, it's very forced.
Like, they could have waited.
A TP straight in the middle lane against one target, and then the team couldn't even follow properly. You had to dash, like, body slam flash over. This means that, again, it kind of slows down Vitality for a few more minutes. 3 Dragons now for Fnatic. We are probably in a game that will at least last 15 minutes more. And then suddenly 5 Dragons.
Gotta give props to the Cly. He used Lantern Flash there. Kept the level head, knew that just Lantern wasn't enough to keep his jungler out of harm's way. And he bought enough time.
And this is a bit like going back a few games where Vitality were in that situation where they were setting up Barons as well. And they needed a proper engage to kind of really snowball the game. They went too quick. They forced it a little bit too much and therefore didn't gain anything. Fnatic bought a lot of time by surviving that first engage. And it's the same now because Carpenter, look at him on your minimap. He's actually running around the mid lane with the team. So now you have that situation where he's engaging head first. And it's a lot easier to flash out of the way then or set up a lantern or
just not get caught.
Just not get caught, obviously. And it's only Nukedog really applying side lane pressure at the moment.
I think Vitality may actually look to kind of bait Fnatic into believing that they're always going for Baron and then eventually rotate to that bot tier 2. That could have been a play we see them making. They need more pink wards down right now though. They have them in their inventory. They need one outside of the Baron pit so they can spot that ward on your left. I think it may be just out of vision. And then they need a green ward in the pit so they see these nasty little blue trinket wards. They spot the ward right now. So they have a bait right now. This is vision advantage Vitality. Can they capitalize?
Reckless is the one who's got the blue trinket.
Oh, they're doing the corner bait
The other
here.
one's coming back up. Okay.
They're waiting for the 2 blue trinkets to be used, clear them, and then clear them again. And once both are on cooldown, they can actually start the Baron.
They have Sivir Rush too. It entirely changes the dynamic of Baron baiting. Because you can let them come pretty close, just pop Sivir ulti and then rush out. They're doing the right thing. Again, push out your wave right here. Because if Fnatic call the bluff, suddenly your mid towers are gone. Right now, Vitality in a fantastic position.
Yeah, but Nukedog's backed out. Fnatic know this has happened, and they can start taking the chance to clear these wards out.
Nukedog wanted to recall to go catch the wave on bottom side.
Yeah.
Again, this is another thing we have seen where the teleport users from Vitality actually leaving their lanes very early and running to save the teleport. It's a bit of a greedy play because what ends up happening is once you get to the destination, if you can't make a play instantly, you have to recall and actually go back and catch that wave you just left because obviously the other teleport member from the other team is going to push it up. And now you just end up losing more time. And pressure.
But if you're Vitality and you set up this play and then you don't pull the trigger, why even, you know, bother to do it in the first place if you're not actually going to use that bait to punish Fnatic? Maybe they're just so afraid of Fnatic's teamfight strength at this point in the game and they want more scaling, but they lost so much time on the map because all the resources were devoted to that Baron bait. They set up for literally 4 minutes straight, and then you know what? I think I won bot wave.
I'm going to quote Gene Wilder here. They get nothing. And Fnatic can breathe a sigh of relief. They've got a very, very close gold game here as the baits continue to travel back and forth. But sideways, just absolutely so important. But these guys are just holding onto their teleports. Both teams, it seems like they're anticipating having to fight a pretty epic battle pretty soon.
Yeah, it will be a bit like game 1, where it's a lot about just playing side lanes and pushing minions more than anything. It's very small details, you know, if a team is messing up. If you play it very safe and you don't try and take any risks, you get these kind of games where teams are just kind of shooting waves to each other, and then it ends up in these big team fights around Baron.
Scaling is opposite though, because this time Vitality have the better scaling. Game 1, they got outscaled by Fnatic and they weren't using their control well enough. Fnatic do get outscaled in the late game.
It is worth noting how close of a game this is, especially when you consider the first two going so heavily in Fnatic's favor and Vitality just kind of overwhelming and taking that lead over Fnatic in game number 3. Vitality, Kasing trying to go in for another one, but Reckless quickly answering flash for flash.
I think that was a minion, like we call it a minion taxi, Q flash from Kasing, which is actually a pretty bold move to do. He used W to a minion, then Q flash. Let's talk about that later though. Febby going in.
Oh, he is, and he puts the tomb down on himself. They turn for Yarnan. Gamsu hooks him in, and Febivin instantly just takes him out. Curtain call now for Vitality as they are on the run. Not getting away from this one. Nukeduck sends the barrels flying, but it's Kasing and Nukeduck that are way too low to fight this one, and it is a one-man advantage for Fnatic.
So at first it's Vitality trying to force the play with Kasing. Getting flash for flash, definitely worth it against the Jhin, but then there's another fight happening before this where they're trying to engage. Ulti was used by Copper Shot, and then Fnatic
TP though.
gets
Not over yet.
again.
Straight for Spirit. Oh, he's gotten bopped up twice, and Baron even assists on that one as Kabashard getting the kill. Gamsu now trying to connect back up with his team, but Cabo's not keen to let that one happen. Cly's so low, they bop him. That's a double kill for Cabo, and now Vitality have answered right back.
Yeah, and it all goes back to cooldown usage. When everything is on cooldown, Fnatic is just way weaker. They really utilize their cooldowns well, though. They understand the power of that Jhin Deadly Flourish. Fevin goes in, says tag Yurit to Hyaran. Deadly Flourish comes in from over 2,000 range. Right now, Vitality, they lost that initial fight, but then double TP came in. And that was honestly beautiful.
Baron before was very greedy with only one member dying. But Vitality not doing exactly the same. They are pretty low.
Yeah, but they turned for Gamsu. He's going in now, and he's just isolated, trying to stay alive, but he was bopped back, and now Yarnan picks him up, but instantly they turn it around, and Febivin has a massive ultimate. Shook dancing spider shoes away from that ultimate. Febby going low, but Cabo can't quite finish him off, and Reckless with the flourish answers with a kill.
And guess what? Fnatic had their spells back off cooldown, and they win a massive fight.
But can we stop disrupting Baron over and over when everyone is low? Fnatic...
Or wait,
oh, look, they're doing it now because they just killed 2 other guys, and Shook is back in base, Kasing is back in base, so this is a lot safer all of a sudden. But the teams are trying really to force fights around Baron here. Whenever they get a kill, they rush into the Baron to try and force another fight, basically with a numbers advantage.
And it's too early for Vitality to go for these chase plays. If they had like 3 QSSs available, maybe they can opt in for a Shook.
Shook, he's bopped up.
Look at how Fnatic are stopping DPS on Baron. Just saying, as long as Shook is there, don't hit the Baron. Wait for him to use Repel or kill him. Then we can finish up the Baron. So good clean call in the end by Fnatic. But man, this was just fight after fight. Like this is after they engage mid. So it's everything onto Cly. That fails. And now Febivin goes in. Beautiful engage from Febivin.
Because Yarnan used Spell Shield himself, but he completely got mind games because Febivin just tagged him with the damage. Spell Shield ran out, Deadly Flourish comes in. Advantage Fnatic, but here, double barrel. Nukeduck's gonna base. Maybe if we get to the other part of this replay here, watch down below on your screen, double TP on the same ward, and then they keep the body slam on the lantern and your Spirit just gets bopped.
And we have another fight going on the bottom side, potentially a fight setting around this dragon
Screw
here.
The replay.
Yeah, forget the replay. We're in live, and Febivin trying to go in again, but it's Reckless who gets the kill. Now Febby will fall, and the Gangplank picks one up, but everybody is just going down. Kamoshard trying to throw his weight around into this brush, and he finds Gamsu, but they've got another answer, and it's curtains for him. He's taken out. Spirit with the kill. 4 kills for 1. Fnatic on the dragon fight get everything.
Fnatic just, when they can corner Vitality and really get a good tomb off from Feven, they annihilate Vitality overall. What a fantastic fight again. And we just have to wonder, how did Vitality get in this position? Probably by giving up so many early dragons, because they likely just forced to defend that dragon way too hard.
Exactly, like again, Vitality were playing a lot more around top side of the map, didn't want to play around this Jhin lane, and then also here, after the Baron recalls from Fnatic, Vitality said, we have to try and rush this dragon soon because we are losing more and more dragons. It's still alive, by the way, it didn't die before, it just ended up being a big team fight.
They didn't need it. They got themselves an inhibitor turret. They'll get themselves an inner right here with Spirit. Fnatic, they won those 2 first games in style. If they can take this one away, the 3-1 victory, they're going to Rotterdam on the back of it.
Definitely so. Semi-final first for Fnatic, if they manage to win.
Yep, Spirit. Oh, he's going to get caught right now. Vitality looking for some revenge. As tanky as that Graves can be, it is not enough. And you could see that gold graph a little moment ago going real wonky for Vitality.
But this is actually big. Yeah. Because Spirit, first of all, had absolutely no reason to stay there.
One more wave.
And get caught up. Of course, yeah, you need one more wave. But now this actually gives a dragon for Vitality, meaning they stop the potential 5 dragons from happening as fast as they otherwise would. You wait out the rest to clear out your wave. So this is the fight around dragon itself. Great engage again coming in. Fibrin uses offensive ulti and then pops Hourglass himself.
Yeah, but look at where they're fighting here. Feven, because he uses offensive ulti, it goes bang in the choke point, and you don't want to find a Lissandra comp in the choke point if Jhin is behind the choke point.
Not only just Lissandra, add in a Graves as well. Spirit is just in the face of Yawnen instantly in these fights here. And this Bruiser Graves, as an AD carry, you can't really duel him properly.
Oh, that build, Maul.
Phantom Dance and more stairs. I mean, he's a tank.
Well, look at how long it took him to take them down with just 4 of them on him. I mean, it was pretty ridiculous. Baron's run out, but that was a pretty solid power play for Fnatic, and they've got themselves 5,000 gold in the lead, a half-dead inhibitor in the mid.
But every fight Vitality have lost so far is them stepping too far forward, allowing Fnatic to kind of blitzkrieg over them. If they keep their distance with the QSS, with the orange from Nuketown, they can kind of prevent that tomb from happening and then just kite away backwards, and they should be able to win these fights.
I think some of the calls from Vitality has been a little bit too aggressive maybe, because they engage mid lane we talked about with TP from Coppershot. Very, very unlikely it's going to work, and let's see what happens here.
Yeah, they pop him right back in. Look at all those shields, but is it going to be enough here as Coppershot trying to disrupt the backline here, throwing the barrel out. Spirit is actually going to walk away, and Coppershart's going to have to dash. And look at those health bars! Oh my lord! Fnatic are coming up huge, and Vitality are going to go down 33.5 minutes, and that might just be it.
That's it. Fnatic is going to Rotterdam here. 40 seconds to death timers. Only Kasing spawns in 25. Ibim's already down. The wave is coming.
Fnatic might have been doubted coming into today, the number 6 seed in the playoffs, but after an incredible showing, 3 out of 4 games, Nexus turrets are all that remain, and these guys will be going. We'll see them in Rotterdam, and I cannot wait. After a game like that, you just gotta hug it out.
Let's go. Taylor staying back. For now.
Give him a moment.
He can be very proud of his players.
Yeah.
Good pick and bans also coming in from Fnatic. Good adaptations. I like the fact that we
Over music for Daylor.
didn't even get to see Azir in the end.
He was listening to Beats by Dr. Daylor.
You just had to squeeze it in the end.
I was waiting.
All the lyrics are just no hook, no food on repeat.
But yeah,
But
Fnatic, well, they really understood the game here overall. Their team fights were so crisp. But I still feel a lot of what they did well was punishing mistakes that shouldn't happen from Vitality. I mean, that last engage, you're engaging, we're just talking about how strong Spirit is and how much time he can buy. And this was the 3rd time Vitality forced themselves into a choke point, where guess who? Feven steps in with a massive combo overall.
Team communication was such a big thing for me in this series here. It looked like with Fnatic, they were always ready to punish the small mistakes from Vitality. And like, look at these last few team fights we have here. It's very forced engages coming in from Vitality, TPing in straight in mid lane, rushing in to start the Baron, pop Sib ult, and then chase one more kill. over and over and over. And as a team, Vitality were weaker than Fnatic. We can then talk about individual players here and there. Febivan had a fantastic series, obviously, in the mid lane for himself. And for me, probably the MVP.
You've got to win as a team. And as you said, Fnatic were the better team in 3 out of 4 games. They absolutely punished those mistakes that, I agree, Vitality should not have made. But they did. If you can't perform in the playoffs, you can't perform on a big stage.
And that's a problem now for Vitality. Obviously, again, first time this lineup gets into playoffs here in the spring split. Looked like the best team in Europe, if we look back, or at least challenging H2K and G2 for best team in Europe at moments during the LCS split. Ended up third because they actually dropped a few games, like lost to Rockhead again the last week, where they had some very poor team fights. Yeah, exactly.
But if you look at the bracket, though, so going into the playoffs, highest seed was G2 Esports. Lowest seed was Fnatic, I think. In
number 6, man.
Number 6.
Number 6.
So that means we will get a G2 Esports match against Fnatic. And the strengths, actually, from G2 so far has been some of these team fights. So I wonder if Fnatic can force their victory the same way. Because is G2 going to make the same mistake?
We got a lot of time to think about that.
They match well against each other. Strong mid laners, of course.
Yeah, I mean, that was just absolutely crazy. But I want to hear from the guys themselves. Let's send it on stage where Pulse is standing by to talk to some of our newest semifinalists.
Cheers, Pyra. I'm here with Spirit and Fevin after that crazy series. And first off, Fevin, I mean, one of the things that really stood out to me was your champion selects and the preparation going into the game. So would you be able to talk a little about that? Was it like the infrastructure you guys had? Was it something to do with the team and the time? Was it Fnatic magic going into a series? What was it?
No, this 2 weeks, we've been preparing a lot. It was like a two-week boot camp for us. And we really thought the champions I played today were good for the strategy. And I think I had a lot of impact in these games, and I just think double TP right now is really, really broken because you can just put silent pressure all the time, and then the team fighting is really good too.
Yeah, the team fighting was really good, and you spoke briefly about the picks. I want to talk to you, Spirit, and you're basically playing a lot of meta junglers right now, and the series just went really well for you. So what went so well in those games?
I just trust my teammates, and I just practiced 2 weeks for this HS playoff, so I just play well, I think.
Well, you played very well in that series. I do want to expand on that, Spirit. So you were talking about those picks as well, and the meta seems to have suited Fnatic. So top lane, Gamsu's playing tanks. You were playing meta stuff in the jungle. You, Fevin, were playing Azir in the mid lane. So do you feel like the meta does suit Fnatic right now?
Actually, I think now this meta is not good for us, you know, because actually Fabian Azir is pretty good, but my style is I don't prefer Azir, and Gamsu really good tank, but for me is I prefer gank top, you know. But now if I go gank top, I will die with Gamsu, so I don't know, sorry.
Oh, that's actually pretty interesting. Thank you for the answer. So last one to you, Fevin. You're now facing G2 in the semis. So what are your opinion on G2 currently and how you're going to go up against them with less prep time as well?
Facing G2 will be really hard because they have really, really strong players, and they're playing really good as a team, and they're very good at team fighting. But I think that we have a really good shot at actually beating them because we are really good at team fighting too, and we understand the game right now. And I feel like we played pretty good today, so I'm really confident going in.
Okay, well, final one here, Spirit. So you guys are now going to Rotterdam. It's the first time that you guys have come together as a team. What does that mean to you that you're actually going to these to the finals at least, or at least over to Rotterdam?
We play in Rotterdam? Really?
My country, yes.
In his country?
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't realize it, so.
Oh, congratulations.
Oh, thank you. I will go to Paris with Fabian's home, yeah.
Well, maybe you'll get some hidden power over there. Thank you very much for the interview, guys. We're going to send it over to Alan to take a look at that series.
I don't know who was a bigger troll there, Spirit for doing that or Pulse for not asking Fevin about going to Rotterdam, which is great, but we can ask you as well. Reckless, congratulations. There weren't a lot of people that believed in Fnatic making it over Vitality before the series. You actually did. He called it for you guys. Just tell me your feeling, obviously, going into it after what you know of your scrims from this week, and then how it evolved after that 2-0.
I mean, The most obvious thing for me, at least, is that we haven't been performing in best of ones. And from IEM, we could kind of see that we were better in best of series because we were able to adapt. Because we constantly lost the first game and then adapted in between and brought it back. So going into today, we were more confident, I would say, than we would be if it were to be a regular season game. But obviously, next split it will be different with best of 2 system. But either way, that was kind of the theory behind it. So once we got into things and we actually felt like we had the upper hand, we just like kept our cool, even though we dropped the third game and kind of just went back to what worked in game 1 and 2 and brought it out in game 4 again, and it worked out pretty well, I think.
We noticed game 1 and 2, a lot of the decisions that were being made were just pretty much all go with the team. You had the Maokai, you had the Poppy, you know, Sivir in game 2. How does that affect the team's like communication? Is that actually easier? Because we sit up here and say, oh, well, you know, it's an easy composition to run with Sivir. Is that actually the case?
I mean, in general, double TP is kind of the way to go right now, as Fabian said. I think it's kind of hard if you are playing against a double TP comp and you only have one TP yourself, because there is going to be a lot of scenarios in the game when maybe one of the TPs are down, but you still have the other one, and the other team's TP is down. So you just have this constant like pressure that you cannot walk into your jungle because you have the potential of getting TP'd behind. So I don't think it's necessarily about the Sivir at all, or the AD carry pick in general. It's just about who has the silent pressure, who has the potential to make the plays. And then it's just about pulling the trigger in the end.
We, of course, had 2 experts here who talked about your games the whole day, as did they about this one, because it didn't look as good at the beginning of this one. We have a first replay coming up where you're fighting with Vitality in the mid lane, and it doesn't turn out perfectly. Perks, do you maybe want to guide us through this replay? We can run it.
Let's see. So yeah, I guess Gamsu was engaging, but Fabian was not there yet, so it was not a really good engage. And he didn't even have TP, or did he? Yeah, he had TP, but he didn't have wards to TP too. So it was just a poorly engaged by Gamsu, I think. And after that, they kind of overchase or like tunnel vision Gragas, and then Fabian goes in for support. Then after that, I think that's fine, but then he has to back off. But he didn't see GP. He was actually already dead.
Yeah, that's something you guys said a couple of times when watching your play, also in the games that you guys won, that you tended to overchase when getting one of the members down from the other team. Did you feel that as well?
I think in this situation we just kind of played it improperly because we, first of all, can't really just go straight onto them because there's going to be a GP ult on our faces and a Gragas ult. So there is no chance of us actually one-shotting anyone. And at that point, they're just going to win the fight, right? Because I can't really do anything until the point that the GP ult is out and I make my way back after the Gragas R. So I think we kind of just played it improperly at that point. But I do agree that at certain times we do overcommit and overchase when we should instead just be pushing waves and going for objectives. But I think it's kind of give and take. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. In general, I think in this specific situation, it was just a wrong decision from us.
Jankos, let's take a look at some more replays because it revolves around Baron, or of course there is a lot of vision on the junglers, and it is a couple of replays put together because it starts by being quite positive for you guys, and it goes back and then again in your favor. So let's play the replay out rather.
Well, cover shot kind of goes in 1v9, so they just got initiated on Hjarnan, which is left alone, and there is nothing Vitality can actually do. And then that's kind of unfortunate that the last Jhin ult misses, otherwise Nukedag would die. Yeah, he flashed, but yeah, and then Fnatic starts the Nash, which is kind of greedy, but I think they are just a bit too splitted here. Like they make 2 different calls and Spirit just kind of dies. The Lantern here is not either.
Well, for my call here was that we should start Nash and then bait them to come and then we fight again. But I think people didn't agree, so we were kind of just like, some people wanted to do it and some people didn't want to. But I think in general, when you're making calls, the most important thing is that just everyone is on the same page, regardless of it being good or bad. So this was why we got caught off here. And then I think they kind of make the mistake that you mentioned.
They overchase
super, yeah, they just overchase us.
Everyone just carries here.
And
well, it was good dodging.
Don't watch this.
Ashuk is fucking good, actually.
So close indeed. Reckless. Obviously, going back to the beginning, not a lot of people had given you guys up as the winners of the series, besides Perks, of course, the almighty. Why do you think Vitality fell apart when we thought that they would just shine in a best-of-5 scenario?
That's a tough question. I think, well, you can state it like that, but I think in a sense that's kind of true because best-of-1s are so different from best-of-5s. Like, you can't really tell how people are gonna show up in a longer series, because maybe these best of ones are just the best for them because they're really good at playing one specific style. But once it gets to a point when you have to show different faces of the team and you're not able to do so, then you're going to lose to the team that are able to do so. So I think maybe that's what kind of lost them today's game, because I think the GP Morgana comp is something that they have showcased in the best of one system and that they were pretty good at. But when they showcased like the Us here and this 1-4 comp, I don't think it worked out that good. So when they went back to the 1-3-1, I could see kind of the vitality that showcased in the regular season. But then when they were playing this 1-4 comp and they were not really pushing any advantages, and we were just scaling up, and then at some point we used our TPs properly, I think it was not the vitality that we saw in the regular season.
Speaking of teams in the regular season and the change, you know, there's a kind of a joke that goes around where it's like Fnatic in playoffs, they're going to take it to another level. Yeah. Do you realistically think that the intensity and maybe the improvement that we've seen from this Fnatic would have been possible in the regular split? Was there something that you guys could have done maybe to have avoided even having to play in the quarterfinals?
It's hard to say. I think this season there's a lot of good teams, so it was really tough to get into the top 2. And we got off on the wrong foot, I would say, and we kind of took the wrong approach to the whole new team, and we kind of put emphasis on things that we shouldn't even bother about yet. For example, shot calling. I think we should have just come in and kind of just learn how each other, like we play with each other and kind of feel it out instead of forcing a style that we played last year that perhaps doesn't fit this team. So I think we just had the wrong approach from start, and that's why we dropped so many games. And at that point, we were already too far behind from G2 and H2K.
In hindsight, when we talked to you in the beginning of the split, and you said you were focusing on shot calling for yourself and maybe Febiven, that wasn't optimal?
I think that was the wrong approach as well, yeah. I think I underperformed kind of greatly this regular season, so I really wanted to like step things up moving into the playoffs, because actually previously, throughout the playoffs I've been through, I've always stepped it up and always been like a key player for my team, so I really wanted to do so this split as well. So I put like less emphasis, I would say, on the shot calling and just try to step it up on an individual level, and I think I played pretty good today. So I'm proud of myself, and I'm also proud of my team that we actually managed to pull off what we practiced throughout these 2 weeks. Because something we actually did really bad throughout the regular season was these TPs. There would be time where we had TP but we wouldn't use it. But today I think we had a lot of good TP flanks, a lot of good proactive plays, which is something we just lacked throughout the season.
It looks very impressive, and one of the people that really shone today was Fnatic's mid laner, Febiven. Jankos definitely echoes what we're about to say. 15 kills, 16 assists for KDA, a 5.8 in 4 game. He is our series MVP, 27.4 team damage, and Jankos was just in awe, especially of the Lissandra in the last game. He, I think, basically won or ended the game.
I don't even know what happened in the last fight.
Oh.
Yeah.
Everyone died.
I was like, Sivir, and then he's like, everyone's dead, by the way. I was like, oh, okay, we finished the game.
Well, I just think it's funny that Perk said he could be better than Febiven, you know, because for me, like, Febiven is just 10 times better, and then Perk saying something like this when he's like top 4 mid lane maybe is just sad.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with Jankos.
Yeah, we have to, right?
Yeah.
We'll see next week.
Yeah, we'll see.
Indeed. Let's take a look at the bracket, because one spot is locked in for the semifinals, which will go on next week. Fnatic will move on to phase G2, because you're the lowest seed out of quarterfinals, and the 3rd seed Vitality is eliminated. We, of course, will find out who ends up facing H2K next week. But first up, G2 versus Fnatic. I think you would want to have taken that before this match more than after what you've seen of Fnatic. In a more serious explanation, how do you think that match will go, and how big an opponent is Fnatic?
Oh, well, I have actually been pleasantly surprised by Fnatic today. I did not expect them to show up that well, even though I knew Vitality was not that good. Like I said, only one style team. And then Fnatic has shown that they can play more styles, and their champion pools are pretty good on mid AD and top plays tanks, and jungler plays meta champs. So I would say overall they're a strong team now. But I think we are still favorites going into the match. But yeah, it's going to be actually closer than I would have expected before this match.
I mean, I think it's fair to say that you guys will still be favorites going into that. Reckless, we touched before the show or before the games on the fact, how must it influence you mentally, the fact that you guys at Fnatic have won everything there is to win. You've been to World Semifinals, dominated the summer split, and then you come into these playoffs as a 6th place team. Perks mentioned how Febiven might find that a little troublesome. How has it been for you?
I mean, for me, like when we walk to the stage and you have these five badges, I guess, with Fnatic winning every split, like knowing that I'm in the quarterfinal and knowing that I'm an underdog, I really want to get further, right? Because if you were to place 6th or lose in quarterfinals, that would be almost a shame So I really wanted to like get further, and I think everyone kind of had the same feeling going into things. So I think in general we're just really happy that we managed to get top 4 now, which also means Rotterdam.
Losing in semis is okay still. in case you were wondering, it's okay.
I mean, at least from my opinion, like throughout when we played you guys in the regular season, we should have actually been 0-2, even though we got that one game with Kog'Maw. That was just because...
That was just a prank.
Yeah. So, like, obviously, as you said, they're the favorites going into the series. But then again, in 3 weeks, a lot of things can happen, as you could see today. So you never really know, to be honest. I think it's just going to be really fun to be in such a situation of semifinals again.
Let's ask two people who are not going to be in that match. Stress, how do you think that matchup is going to go?
For the G2 Fnatic series, well, I mean, Perks, I guess it depends on how your practice has gone as well, because you guys, I like the way you play in the regular split and that, but we have had a bit of a meta shift, a little bit more towards, I guess, what would favor Kikis in the top lane.
Yeah,
so
more tank.
I know, and I'm just saying, I enjoy the faster play style, so I think G2 are still probably the slightly favored team, but you guys today showed us a lot more than you showed us in the regular split, so that's going to, I hope, be a closer set of games than today's.
Well, today was still, I think, a nice series. We've
Yeah.
got 4 good games. Jankos, your unbiased opinion about this matchup?
Well, I overall think that the players are very similar, except for mid lane, obviously, where Fabian will just totally dominate Perks. So that's it, kind of.
Unbiased opinion and nothing more, just that middle lane. No, obviously H2K, that means that you guys will now go up against either OG or the Unicorns of Love. Probably unexpected that you would end up with that side of the bracket.
I mean, it's kind of unexpected, and we screamed Origin quite a lot, so hopefully we will not face them, just because we both know what each other plays. Maybe it's favorable for us, I'm not sure. Overall, I also think that Origin can step up as much as Fnatic did in playoffs, which is kind of scary, just because they could improve so much and they have the talent that they need. So hopefully tomorrow I would like you all to win, just because I think that their players are a bit worse. And then, yeah, if Origin steps up, it will be pretty good semi-finals. And then I don't want to see another Fnatic Origin finals, you know. So at least one of the teams needs to.
Hey, it was a really good final in summer.
Hey, we might have another Fnatic
Origin
UOL
G2
final.
finals is okay.
Origin G2, yeah.
I'm kidding.
I was going to say, I heard a lot of worried coaches maybe on Twitter as that game was ending, like, man, 2 weeks of prep out the window, because this, of course, now inverts our bracket. All the teams have been practicing
Yes.
for specific matchups, so completely different. But, you know, I think tomorrow's matchup is going to be a wealth of information, because I think that's going to be a close series. It's going to be a scrappy series.
Oh yeah,
as
can
well.
I get a small prediction? UOL OG? You're hoping UOL, but...
Well, I think, to be honest, just because we scream Origin and we didn't scream UL, I think Origin is better team now. I think overall they stepped up really hard lately, and I think they will take the series probably like 3-1 or 3-0.
I think OG 3-1.
Okay.
Yeah, and I agree with Jankos. I think, I mean, obviously scrims are scrims, but yeah.
Yeah,
Judging on scrims
yeah,
or-
judging by screens.
Yeah. Yeah, I think also Origin has this kind of same, I would like mentality. I'm not sure if mentality is the right word, but I think they're in kind of the same seat as us, where they're not the greatest team in best of ones, but once it gets to the series, as they showcased last summer, they are one of the stronger teams. So you can't underestimate these guys. I think they're here to stay. So it's gonna be maybe something we don't expect from the results of regular season.
Yeah, and we'll see what they decide to do in that they have the option to do substitutions in the middle of the series.
But
So
isn't Origin 2-0 against Unicorns as well?
yes.
Yeah, okay. Origin. Yeah.
I'm not completely sure, but I always thought if you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
something with confidence, it's all good.
Yeah.
Finally, over on Twitter, where you guys are sending in your questions with the hashtag #AskTheDesk, Johnny SV wants to know, what do you all think about the new AP tank top lane meta, or tank meta in general? We had quite an interesting discussion that Perks and Jankos found that the tank meta was actually quite interesting at this point because of the assassins that can be picked mid.
I mean, it's not really that interesting for top laners, but it's just that the meta
Well, it's
from
good for G2, that's for sure.
it's just that the meta from this split is different from the meta from the last split, because last split was like scaling mid laners and then tank top laners like Azir, Victor, Orianna and stuff. But now you actually have an option to like pick, I don't know, Kassadin, Zed maybe, those champs who can actually pressure lane on mid lane as well, even though, as Reckless said and Vivian said, that double TP is just really OP right now, so Lissandra is a really high contested pick. But top lane meta is just really boring, I think, for me, like the 1v1s.
I mean, I think, yeah, the 1v1s are boring, but at the same time, like, it's an island again, you don't really play around it, because both tanks will just farm up and scale, and the gank won't help as much. But I overall think that the meta right now is good overall because you can play kind of everything, maybe except for top lane. Like on every lane we see some different stuff. So I like the meta right now. And also the tanks are a bit more different because I think the jungle tanks that are being played now are way more squishy than they were last year because you don't actually go Cinder Hulk, you go the AP item. So overall the damage on champions is higher and the tankiness is around the same, maybe lower. So I think the games should be more interesting, even though this BO5, like for example, the first game was like low kills, but the rest of the games I kind of find really nice to watch.
I think one of the problems for me, though, with the current meta is if you look at games from LCK and that, if you let like Maokai Sivir through, it's so difficult to win against that kind of composition. It takes such a strong basis in the beginning of the game to put that behind. I think there's a lot of potential for those real strong team comps.
Yeah. We'll see what happens tomorrow as well. A second tweet, sorry, from @sunlessmidnight. Who is better, Jankos in the mid lane or Perks in the jungle?
Perks in the jungle.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
When I play jungle, dynamic queue with anyone, and I play versus Jankos, like he always gets destroyed. He cannot get one buff from me. So jungle is really easy role. So
yeah, I mean Perk is so good, right? And then you just have to ban Lee Sin and it's over. By the way, I think
actually expanded my jungle champion full.
What? You are bad though. You can't play any other champ, no?
No, I'm best in Italy.
You're best in Italy, yeah, whatever.
All right. You guys can fight it out on the Rift later and maybe further up in the playoffs. We still have one semifinal spot up for grabs here in the spring playoffs, which will go to the winner of tomorrow's best of 5 between the 4th seed Origin and the 5th seeded Unicorns of Love. We'll be coming at you live starting at 5 p.m. Central European Summer Time, 8 a.m. Pacific, so don't be late. Very big matchup there tomorrow as well, which we've already previewed with the guys here. And as an update, over in the CBLOL, INTZ is up 2-0 in the finals of CBLOL against Keyd. Stars now in the middle of their 3rd game. Anything seems pretty even for now, so we'll see what happens and who takes the championships. Looks like INTZ is well ahead of doing that. So for now, thank you guys very much for joining us. Congratulations, Reckless. We'll see you in Rotterdam for sure, and thank you guys. Did you enjoy it? I feel like you did.
I feel like I did as well. I mean, you know, just bantering some kid is always nice.
I mean, being on desk with Jankos was really not a good experience.
I think it was lovely. In any case, now it is time for us to send things across the pond to North America for today's playoff clash between Cloud9 and TSM. So take it away.
That's so nice.
Vitality, Fnatic. We are onto the Rift. This could be a hell of a series. And now he's just got to try to walk it out, but no help is coming. And that's first blood to Febby. Front Febivin, half health, Yarden executes him. Baron's down, the fight's on. They try to push him back.
Push mid. Fight. Push mid. We can maybe finish even. Mid. Push. Nice.
Fnatic have had a monster game 1.
All right, Martin. There we go, mid.
And Yarden might be in some trouble. Teleport around the side.
Just kill him. Just kill Jin. I have ultimate too. Nice.
In there, teleport for Febivin stopped on the box, but he turns for Yarden right now. Can he take the Lantern out?
Nope.
No!
Blocked.
Dead Fast Presence says blocked up. And Fnatic are on match point.
Yeah, ready?
We have red head, ref.
Now we win, actually.
As Spirit realizes the game is up for him, but he can't get away. Another cocoon, and that's a double kill for Shook. As he loads his barrel, let's see what he can take down. Oh my goodness! Back onto Gamsu. Emperor's Divide pushes a few back, but not nearly enough. Oh, everyone is just melting! Oh my lord! Vitality take the Nexus, and we have a series on our hands. Walk away, and Combo Shark's gonna have to dash. And look at those health bars! Oh my lord! Fnatic are coming up huge!
Rotterdam, boys! Rotterdam! We're going to my country, boys! Let's go! Party at my house.